Bam! Welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Jacqueline. This is part of my jungle, and if you're not new here, thank you for coming back. I appreciate you. So today, I have a part 2 to a very popular video that I did a while back on some plants that some plants that some rare plants that I do not think are worth the hype. So just in case you're new here, when I say rare, what I mean is rare to the market. So not literal rarity, like rare in nature, but usually harder to come by, more expensive, plants that everybody isn't just quick to buy because they're usually more pricey. The type of plants that you want to do more research before you actually purchase. So I do have another jungle dweller with me here today. So I'm giving you a fair warning. If you are freaked out by snakes, you're going to want to shut this video off, or just don't look, maybe listen, because I'm not actually going to be showing you any plants today besides like photos on the screen of what the ones that I look like are talking about, in case the ones that I'm talking about look like. I can talk, everything is fine. So that in case you don't know what they look like, you can see what they look like. But I do have Eden here with me today. In case you guys have not been following along, this was a snake that I purchased for David for his birthday and surprised him with it. You can see that video over on the David and Jack's channel. I can leave it linked for you if you are a reptile lover and you want to see more of that. Hi, pretty girl. So here is Eden. Hi, I just woke her up from a nap. She ate earlier in the week, and I've just been letting her chill since then. We got her a new hide, and she's really been enjoying it and hiding in there all day and not coming out. So mommy wanted to hang out with you. So this is a boa. She is a hypo kraken boa, and she's just really beautiful. And we love her. She's in a bit of a darker phase today. Sometimes she lightens up, but she's really, really cool and really, really sweet and super chill. So she's probably just gonna hang out with me like this while we talk about 5 rare plants that I don't believe are worth the hype. So these are my personal opinion. These are all plants that I've had in my possession for the most part. So I'm not speaking on anything that I don't have experience with, except for the last one, and you'll see why when we get there. But these are plants that I probably wouldn't buy again, and that I don't think are a great investment if you are trying to splurge and buy yourself something nice, because most of us don't really spend a ton of money or can't justify spending a ton of money on one plant. But sometimes we just really, really, really want one, and every once in a while it's okay to treat ourselves to something expensive and something nice. And I just want to help you actually make a good choice when it comes to where you spend your money on plants. So the first one on my list is one that I don't know how I actually left off of the first one. I will leave that one linked for you if you guys want to watch the other one in case you haven't seen it. It was after I recorded that one that I realized that I left off the Philodendron melanochrysum. And even though this plant is beautiful and I do have it in my collection in my greenhouse, it just looks terrible. And it pretty much always looks terrible, and it doesn't grow well. The leaves grow stupid. Sometimes they grow like multiple from like one growth point, and it just looks really wonky. If you can get this plant like trained up a pole and growing consistently for you and not dying back at all, like good for you, good job, because like I can't. Even in the greenhouse, it's just not happy. It's a very thirsty philodendron. It likes that extra humidity. It does not want to dry out. So I have a really hard time keeping up with it. So that is why I put it on the list, because Even though it's beautiful, it would not be my first suggestion for somebody who is wanting to get into more rare plants and looking for a good place to spend their money. So if you do want something similar though, I do recommend the Philodendron gigas or gigas. I genuinely don't know how you're supposed to say it, but it is very similar to the melanochrysum. But I am having a lot easier of a time with that one so far. So we'll see how that goes. But even just the Philodendron micans, if you can get that one growing up a pole, has a very similar vibe to melanochrysum. So there are other plants that are less finicky. The micans is still kind of finicky, but you have options if you're looking for that like velvety leaf. Just keep in mind that whenever a plant has a velvety leaf, it's usually a diva. Not always, but usually. So there is that. Number 2 on my list is actually 2 plants technically, but they're the same plant. So it's the Monstera, standleyana, albo, as well as the aurea. So these plants are beautiful. Don't get me wrong. I have them. I have both of them in my collection. They just, again, don't look very good. I love them. They grow very straggly. Like if you don't get it growing up a pole, you're just gonna get runners with like little baby leaves. I have a very hard time keeping the variegation going on these plants, and I see them in the store for so much money. And like if you're gonna spend that much money on a plant, I just don't think that that is the most satisfying plant that you could buy. Like I don't ever want anybody to spend a bunch of money on a plant that they really want and then feel disappointed because it doesn't look the way they had hoped, or it doesn't grow as well as they had hoped. And this is not to deter you from buying any of these plants. It's just kind of like maybe not the best options if you have other plants in mind that you like that are going to be a little bit easier and a little bit nicer to look at and grow better than some of these ones on the list. So if you can find one for a really good price, I definitely recommend the standleyana albo, and the aurea is really beautiful. It's just the yellow variegated version of it. But it's pricey. The prices are coming down for sure, but it varies. So just don't get caught up spending a lot of money on this plant. I don't think it's worth it. I really don't. If you can get it for cheap, totally worth it. Like I even saw melanochrysum in the nursery in Boston for $12.99. So like, yeah, if you find it for $12.99, you can pick it up and give it a go. But if you're spending $100 on a plant, I don't recommend buying these ones. So number 3 on my list is, what is it? The Philodendron burle marx variegated. So hear me out, okay? I love this plant. I have this plant. It's gorgeous. I love the variegation. Grows really, really easily. Actually kind of grows like a clusterfuck, I'm not gonna lie. Like it's one of those philodendrons that just kind of looks like a mess all the time, like the way that it grows. So I don't love that about it, but that's not why I think it's not worth the money. The reason why I don't think it's worth the money or the hype is because of the amount of times that this plant reverts on people. It reverts very, very easily, especially if you cut it, and it can get its variegation back, but it takes a really long time and it might not ever come back. So for the pure fact that this one just kind of reverts a little too easily for me, I don't feel comfortable spending a lot of money on it or suggesting that anybody else spends a lot of money on it when you could potentially end up disappointed down the line when this plant reverts. It may not. I'm not saying that it will. It's not a 100% thing, but keep in the back of your mind that that is something that can happen to this plant. And it's just not, it's not my favorite. The way that it grows is just stupid. And The only saving grace for this plant is that the variegation is beautiful. It is absolutely stunning marble variegation. What more could you want out of a plant, right? It is just classic, gorgeous variegation, but not when it just reverts back to green. Then it's not worth hundreds of dollars. Again, if you can find it for cheap, I got mine from like one of you guys. I think one of you sent it to me. I think it was Sayeta? Was it you? I don't remember. I try so hard to remember these things. I would have to go back and look. I think so. I think she sent that to me. But anyway, it's doing really well, and I'm happy with it. I'm glad that it was a gift, because I don't think that I would have bought one. That's why I hadn't bought one. I was hesitant to buy one because they're not cheap and they love to revert back to green. You just hanging out? You're being such a good girl. So yeah, that is number 3 on my list. Number 4 kind of goes hand in hand with the melanochrysum, and that is the Philodendron verrucosum. There's tons of different like types of verrucosum. I don't know the differences between them, but they're all a pain in the butt. They are really annoying to keep up with. Again, just like the melanochrysum, they like the humidity. They don't want to dry out. They are really thin-leafed philodendron, which just always kind of equals pain in the butt. Absolutely stunning plant. Gorgeous. Was very tempted to buy a little baby one when I found it for 20 bucks, but I told myself, like, no, girl, even though it's cheap, like, it's just not going to work out the way you want it to. It's not going to grow the way you want it to. I had one, and it was growing beautiful for a little while, and then it just kept on slowly declining, leaves coming out ugly, growing scraggly, and like, I have them in a greenhouse in a high humidity situation. I don't really know what else they want from me. I love these plants, and I'm not saying that I wouldn't try again with a verrucosum and that I might not try to get my melanochrysum to look good. I'm just kind of like over it right now, but I will eventually maybe like repot it and try and get it like happy again. But I just don't recommend it for somebody who's looking to, again, just make a purchase, like a big purchase, and get themselves like a nice expensive plant for like a birthday or whatever it is. I don't recommend the verrucosum. There are so many other beautiful philodendron that you can get that are not going to be as much of a pain in the butt as the verrucosum. So I do have a video on plants that are worth the hype, and I am more than happy to do more of those to kind of counterbalance these, so that it's kind of like a don't buy this, buy that instead like type of thing. I mean, I could do a video like that too if that's something you guys would be interested in, and like giving other suggestions of similar plants that might be easier or less expensive. So Philodendron verrucosum, even though it's beautiful, I really don't recommend it. I really don't, unless again you are really confident that you can keep plants like that happy. But for the average plant collector, I really don't recommend this plant. I don't, unless you have like a tent or a greenhouse or a cabinet or something along those lines. This plant is probably not going to do well in your home environment, and I don't want that for you, girl. I really don't. So that is why I put it on the list. And finally, number 5 on my list today is a newer plant, and it's one that I don't actually have, but I feel like I can speak on it because I've had other plants in this same exact genus before, and that is the lemon meringue pothos. It's not expensive by any means. It's a Costa Farms Trending Tropicals plant that you can pick up for 20 bucks at Home Depot. But I just don't think that the hype, is, I don't believe it. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. It's beautiful, and I'm always happy to see it in the store, but I think that I'm traumatized from my global green reverting and just declining and not doing well, that I wouldn't buy it. And I don't think that we should be overhyping it, because do we even know? Do we know that it doesn't revert? Because I have a suspicion that it might. Granted, if you find one and it's 20 bucks, like, snag it, because it's not an expensive plant. I just felt like having this conversation with you guys today because I feel like it's an important one to have. Even if the plant isn't expensive, like, should we really be going crazy trying to find this plant? Like, is it worth the stress of you driving to every big box store within an hour radius of you to try and find this plant? I don't think so, and the sirens agree. Not even talking about Hoya. Isn't she cute? You're so pretty. Wow, look at you. You're gorgeous. I love her tail. Gets like peachy, tan. She has really interesting genetics, so that's why she has this really cool color and pattern to her. I love her saddles. They like don't touch. Just like little spots. Anyway, the sirens are over. So lemon meringue pothos. I just don't get it. I don't. I would love to know. I might buy one eventually just to experiment with it to see if it reverts, because my global green, despite being just a few feet away from a giant west-facing window, just completely turned green. And I didn't want it anymore because I just wasn't in love with it, and I was just really disappointed by it. So even if you're only spending 20 bucks, that's 20 bucks you could have spent somewhere else, to not be disappointed by a plant, because that is such a terrible feeling when you spend money on something and it just doesn't meet your expectations, and I don't want that for you guys. So that is why I made this list of 5 rare plants, or just plants in general, expensive plants, new plants, trendy plants that I don't think are worth the hype. Again, this is my personal opinion, and when I speak on rarity, I mean the plant market, the availability of a plant. The price of a plant usually is higher when, you know, demand is there and the supply isn't. So keep that in mind. I hope you enjoyed seeing Eden today. More than happy to take out Willow and Penny. I also have 2 geckos. They're just a little on the jumpy side, so I don't want them hurting themselves. They are still small by sitting here, and they have like the room to jump on the floor. Normally I sit on the couch or like on the bed, so if they do jump out of my arms or out of my hands, that it's onto something soft and not like far away. So we will eventually take them out, but definitely go and follow the David and Jack's channel if you want to see more about our reptiles and just reptiles in general, and more of me and my boyfriend just kind of traveling, vlogging, eating food, hanging out, talking about life, talking about our relationship, talking about our babies, and all of that good stuff. Definitely give us a subscribe over there. So we are going to be doing like a reptile show and tell soon, so you can see all of our babies. Yeah, and that's it for this video. I hope that you guys found it helpful. Let me know if there's anything that you would add to this list. Keep in mind that there is another list, so it might, the plant you're thinking of might be on that one if you want to watch that one and check it out. Open to suggestions for the next one, because I enjoy doing these, and there's always new plants, new trendy things that are popping up that I just think are ridiculous and people shouldn't spend their money on. So I'm more than happy to keep on doing these with you guys. Again, there's also plants that I think are worth the hype. I've shown you lots of those. I can link that video here if you want to watch that, and I'm more than happy to do another one, like I said, to kind of counterbalance this one. She's so cute. I can't stand it. But yeah, that's it. If you enjoyed hanging out with us today, you should give this video a thumbs up, a tongues up. I'm so stupid. I know. Don't forget to subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss anything from me. There's a join button down there if you want to be part of the official plant fam. Get yourself some perky perks. If not, there's a super thanks button if you want to super thanks me. Everything is appreciated. Cannot do this without you guys. Love you so, so very much. I hope you're having a beautiful day wherever you are in the world. Go give your animals a squeeze for me. Love them. And I hope I see you in the next one. Bye.